My name is Genta NAKANO, and I belong to Disaster Prevention Research Institute, Kyoto University. So today's my presentation topic is multi-voiced and multi-angle reality of disaster risk reduction action research, the perspective of chained visual ethnography. So I think there are a lot of unfamiliar terminologies in these titles, so that while I'm making a presentations, I would like to make it clear the definition of each terminologies. So first of all, let me make it clear what is action research. And this is a research attitude, and this is my research attitude as action research. On the left-hand side, there is a figure of the basic usual research frameworks. So researcher as a subject and researcher, research target as an object are basically segregated each other. So that, for example, doctors observe, analyze the symptoms of the research target, which is the patient, and identify what is the cause of the disease, for example. So in this case, researchers as a doctors and the research target as a patients are clearly segregated each other, and the subject as a researcher should observe in a very objective way to the research target, the patient. So in this case, the researchers and the research targets are clearly segregated, and what's the most important things is that the research methodologies or approaches should be objective, and the result of research should be replicable, and research outcomes should be generalized. So this is a basically very general basic research attitude. But on the other hand, the action research its framework is totally different. The first of all, researchers and the research targets are not segregated each other, because the researcher is a part of the communities. So in the action research, the researchers goes to the field and identify what is the local issues together with the local people, and work together with the local people in order to bring the betterment to the local communities. So in this case, the researcher becomes a part of the community, and basically the research target becomes a collaborator of this action research. So that unlike the basic research, action research, there's no segregations between the researchers and the research target. So the keyword in action research is interventions, because researchers goes to the field and intervene to the local issues directly. So the intervention and the changes, the objective of action research is to bring the change and betterment. So the betterment is made through the change. So these three are basically the keywords for the action research. So this is how different between research in general and action research. So so far, I have been conducting action research in 3 different fields. So left-hand side, there's one of the my main study fields nowadays, the Cihuatanejo municipality in Mexico. So I started to be involved in one project since 2016. So I frequently visited Cihuatanejo municipality. And here there is a earthquake and tsunami risks, so that I am working very collaboratively, closely together with the local civil protection, which is a part of the local government, and together with the local students, local teachers, and carrying out earthquake and tsunami-related educations. Or we have been working on establishing the community-based disaster risk reduction groups, and also establishing the tsunami evacuation strategies. So now you can see that the objective of this research in Mexico is to bring some changes in the communities throughout the intervention of the educations or establishment of the disaster risk reduction groups. But in my another research field, Nepal, I have a slightly different viewpoint or viewpoint of the issues. So I'm basically organizing the teachers training, but the objective of this teachers training is to make sure the sustainability of the implementation of disaster risk reduction educations. Because I have been interviewing and working with the local NGOs or international organizations in Nepal, and they also have been providing different types of disaster risk reduction education trainings for local teachers. But one of the biggest issues is that basically local teachers, even though they receive the teachers training, they don't continue to carry out the disaster risk reduction educations at their own schools. So sustainability or continuity is the big issue here. So that I am thinking how we can make sure the continuity and sustainability of the implementation of disaster risk reduction educations by the initiatives of the local teachers throughout teachers training. So this is my main focus. And of course, there was a huge earthquake in 2015 in Nepal, so that there was a stage of the emergency response and reconstructions. So these are also my research target in Nepal. And in Kochi Prefecture, Japan, as you may know, there is a Nankai trough megathrust earthquake and tsunamis. Yeah, so that here in Kochi Prefecture, I basically work with the local government and the local kind of NPOs in order to promote the evacuations of the elderly people. Yeah, because elderly people are basically, how can I say, less motivated to evacuate in case of earthquake and tsunamis, because they think that they cannot walk or they cannot run for evacuations. So they are quite less motivated. So that the important issue is to how to promote their motivations of evacuation in case of real earthquake and tsunamis. So this is my research target of the action research here in 3 localities. So, but implementing the action research in these 3 different locations, I am analyzing how people's action changes. For example, the changes of the attitude of teachers or attitude of elderly people applying the theory of education or psychology, sociology, and anthropologies. So this is how I take a look at the action researches in the field. So now let me going into the topic or themes of today's my presentations. So again, my presentation title is Multi-Voiced and Multi-Angle Reality of Disaster Risk Reduction Action Research, the Perspective of Chained Visual Ethnography. So I already clarified what is exactly the action research. And now let me make it clear what is visual ethnography. So yeah, of course, it says ethnography. It comes from the anthropological field. So in the anthropologies, usually anthropologists going to the research field, and they observe what local people do or what local people act. So it can be a culture or festivals, or it can be a daily lives. So anthropologists go to the field and observe. But here, in this relationship between the anthropologist and local people, it is quite asymmetric. So asymmetric means that the anthropologist is observing and local people are basically being observed. So this is asymmetric. Or sometimes, of course, it is depending on the communities, but the anthropologist basically comes from the advanced countries with the high knowledge, for example, PhD holders, but local people is basically can be developing countries, so that here again the asymmetric relation of, for example, evaluating or being evaluated can happen. So throughout the action of observations, this asymmetric relationship becoming always a problem in order to observe in objective way. So this is one of the issues in ethnography. So another issue is that the conscious and unconscious selection of the culture in the ethnographic description or ethnographic writing process happens. Yeah, so depending on the interest of the anthropologist wrote down or describe the specific cultural act, but maybe they or anthropologists get rid of writing other part, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. Yeah, so that this is also another difficulties in writing the cultures, and cultural description cannot be objective in this sense as well. And of course, there is constraints of the researcher's rhetoric. Yeah, so actually, this is a criticisms by the Clifford and the Marcus that the cultural description cannot be objective. So because of this type of criticisms and how to, so that the anthropologists thought how to make sure the objectivity of the cultural description. That's why the photographs or video recordings or paintings are utilized as a method of ethnography in order to characterize the reality in a objective manner. So this is why visual ethnography, not writing ethnography, got attention. But of course, in the method of visual ethnography, there is another new limitations. So there are many visual ethnography studies in the field of anthropology or sociology, psychology, etc., etc. But the limitation of visual ethnography, the VE, represents the only single voice reality, which is the researcher's perspectives. So what exactly means this single voice reality and the multi-voice reality that I used in my presentation title? So this is an example of visual ethnography of Hiroshima Peace Memorial Ceremony. Yeah, so the researchers made ethnographic films, the movies of Hiroshima Peace Memorial Ceremony on August 6. So there's a peace memorial ceremony on August 6 in Hiroshima, so that the ethnographers, researchers went to the ceremony and installed several cameras in a different location of the venue and filmed or recorded how people played in the ceremonies. And of course, there's a diverse reality of play or diverse way of play depending on the people. So some plays very silently, or sometimes plays while insisting the abolition of the nuclear, for example, or some other people plays in a different ways. So depending on the people coming to this ceremony, there's a diverse reality of the play. So this is quite important. However, ethnographers filmed the plays of each people and developed the ethnographic films of how players played in the ceremony. But when this diverse reality of plays is interpreted by the ethnographers, it is becoming a ethnographer's reality only. Yeah, because even though there is a diverse reality of the play in the ceremony, but this reality of the play is interpreted by the researchers. So it means that the ethnographic films only reflects the ethnographer's reality. So it becoming a single voice reality only. So what is the limitation here is that the evaluation and expression of the field practice is occupied by the perspective of researchers and the voices of the people involved. For example, here, players are neglected. So how we can make sure to express the multi-voice reality here in the field practice? This is a very big question in the field of the visual ethnography. So now let me clearly explain what exactly the multi-voice reality is. There's a showcase, which is known as the Rashomon effect. So Rashomon, as you may know, it's a film, the movie, in 1950s films, directed by Akira Kurosawa. And so I don't have a time to show all the stories of this Akira Kurosawa's movie, so let me quite briefly explain the stories. So a samurai in this movie is murdered and his wife is harassed, but she is able to escape the scene of the crime. So she survives. So the involved people report what they witnessed and experienced to an interrogator. So these are the comments made by the in front of the interrogator. So the suspect is arrested, and the suspect, his name is Tajo Maru, admits to the crime and says that he won the match against the samurai to have the samurai's wife. So this is his comment. But the samurai's wife says that the samurai was killed while she was unconscious after being attacked by the suspect. And there is another person who was the witness of this case, says that the wife of the samurai lured the samurai into a match against suspect. So it looks like these three comments contradict each other. But what this Rashomon really tells, Rashomon's movie really tells, is that importantly, this all comments tells that people can have a different perspectives of a single event. So actually, these three comments looks like contradicting each other, but this is just a different perspectives of a single event. So, and such an objective truth cannot exist. So this is the multi-voice reality. So now let me raise another important issues related with the lack of multi-voice reality in the evaluation of action research. So as I already mentioned, action research is a collaborative practice between the researcher and the people involved. So however, evaluation of the betterment is held through a paper, for example, research papers, or maybe writing a book in a format text, or qualitative evidence or quantitative evidence. So the evaluation is occupied by the perspective of researchers, and the voice of the people involved are basically neglected in this process. So let me raise my own case. Actually, I wrote a paper in 2018, which tells about how betterment took place in Cihuatanejo, Mexico. So story of my paper was as follows. So before my intervention, before the intervention of the action research, there was an over-dependency to the expert in the process of implementing a tsunami evacuation drills. So basically, the experts go to the go to the schools, and experts organizes all the important things or how to evacuate, or where the evacuation route and which place to be safe, etc., etc. And experts basically took an initiative of carrying out all the tsunami evacuation drills. So here, the local teachers, school teachers, and the local students could not have any opportunities to actively join the evacuation drills, just following the instructions of the experts. So this was a problematic. So intervention was made through the action research. So myself and local civil protection staffs, of course, together with the local teachers, we carried out different types of workshop or classes. And as a result, in 2016, teachers took the initiative of carrying out disaster risk reduction educations and tsunami evacuation drills. So there's a big changes from 2012 to 2016. And that's why I wrote a paper. But this evaluation or this way of looking is basically occupied by myself. And I could not include the perspectives of the, for example, local civil protection staff or local teachers' perspectives. So here again, the evaluation is basically occupied by the perspective of researchers, and the voices of the people involved are neglected. So my question is, by using visual ethnography, the multi-voice reality of the people involved can be added to the evaluation made by the researchers. So this can be a new evidence of action research. So how multi-voice reality of action research is visualized and expressed using visual ethnography methodologies. So this is main theme of my today's presentations. So study field is, as I mentioned, Zihuatanejo municipality in Guerrero State in Mexico. So this is a map of Mexico, and Guerrero State is located here. So Mexico City, the capital is around here. So it's a little bit south of the Mexico City. And Zihuatanejo is located here, which is faced to the Pacific Ocean. So that there's a risk of earthquake and tsunamis. And the Zihuatanejo municipality is kind of medium-sized cities in Mexico and tourist areas. So that in 1960s, 70s, the tourism investment has been made so that the new hotels and new restaurants have been constructed, and population growth took place because many people seek the job opportunities in the tourism sectors. So that population rapidly increased after 1960s and 1970s in Zihuatanejo. And the average age of this municipality is 26 years old, so quite young. So I rarely see the people, elderly people in this municipality. So it's a quite small number of people with the over the 65 years old. So this is my design of the study. So this is a kind of, how can I say, a very congested figure. So that first of all, let me briefly explain the first two stages of my studies, which is the first stage is the action research stage of disaster risk reduction or disaster risk management in Zihuatanejo, Mexico from 2016 to 2019. And in this stage, in order to make a visual ethnography, I video recorded almost all the practices held during these 3 years. And after that, based on the video recorded videos, I developed visual ethnographies. So I'll explain up to this stage from now on. So this is the stage of action research of disaster risk reduction from 2016 to 2019. So I stayed in Zihuatanejo, Guerrero for more than 300 days between 2016 and 19. and conducted different types of educational activities for more than 10,000 people in Shiwataneho. Of course, together with local civil protection, the local government, and with local schools. So of course, we have done different types of activities, but today's my focus is the establishment of community emergency response teams, the CERT. So civil protection staff and myself worked on the establishment of this volunteer group of the local communities in order to tackle with the emergency situations in case of natural disasters. So all the activities and interviews of the participants were filmed and the recorded videos becomes 140 hours of recording. So like this, I was following the evacuation drills, and I was always filming the evacuation drills, or sometimes I was interviewing participants of this action research, for example, the students, for example, the teachers, for example, the civil protection staffs. So this recorded videos became 140 hours within these 3 years. So there's an important suggestion in the process of filming the action research, I think. As I mentioned in the previous slides, there's an asymmetric relationship between the researchers, the anthropologists, and the people involved when observing or when filming the local cultural act, for example. Asymmetric relations such as the researchers evaluating, and local people being evaluated, for example, or researchers observing, or local people being observed. So this type of asymmetric relationships always happens and always becoming a problems in anthropological studies. But I think in the process of filming the action research, it can loosen this type of asymmetric relationship because filming by a researcher who has spent hundreds of days with the people involved. Yeah, because, for example, in my case, I stayed 300 days in the local communities and always working together with the local civil protection or local teachers so that we know very well quite each other. So in this relationship, I could film the action research. So it minimizes the relationship between evaluating or being evaluated and observing or being observed. So it allows to film the practices as it really is. So compared with the filming for visual ethnography, the filming for action research is relatively becoming, how to say, the practices becoming or filmed as it really is. So this is a big difference between the filming for visual ethnography and filming for action research. So as I mentioned, there was 140 hours of video recording. So I checked, of course, all the video recording in 2019, 2020, and I decided to develop 7 visual ethnography movies. But because of the time constraints, let me show you one of them. And the following, this slide shows the basic stories of one of the visual ethnography films that I developed. So later I will show you the complete visual ethnography films. But first of all, let me briefly explain the stories. So these films start with my own interviews. I'm just saying that in 2016, it means that before my interventions, there's no community-based group of, for example, CERT, Community Emergency Response Team. But after that, person A, Mr. Raphael, started to establish the SART. And Mr. A, the Rafael-san, interview, there's the interviews telling the current progress of SART. Current means in 2017 and 2018. And after establishing some community emergency response teams in the communities, the big house fire occurred. But the community emergency response team responded properly, so that Mr. Rafael A was quite satisfied with it. And after that, there is an insert of the interviews of the leader of SART who attended the fire. And SART is widely acknowledged in the municipality and institutionalized into the DRM plan. So this is the basic story of this visual ethnography films from 2000. It represents the changes from 2016 to 2019 in Shibata-Neho. So now let me show you these movies. So it has around 10 minutes.
Zihuatanejo City is a resort located on the Pacific Ocean coast, which is located about 480 kilometers southwest of Mexico City. Zihuatanejo is the place where experts have pointed out the possibility of damage caused by earthquakes and tsunamis. How does a tsunami occur? When the earthquake occurs under the seabed will be raised by the plate motion. Sea levels also shifts along with this, and it propagates a big wave as a tsunami. This is a simulation that estimates tsunami damage. There is not much immediate damage after the earthquake. However, when the tsunami arrived about 12 minutes after the earthquake, it was found that the damage spread to the city at once in the next 5 minutes. Disaster prevention education started by SAT reps in Zihuatanejo in September 2016. What was the situation of regional disaster prevention by the local community at the beginning of 2016? Assistant Professor NAKANO of Kyoto University looks back on the situation at that time.
2016年当初ですね、私がシワタネホを訪れ始めた頃は、シワタネホにおいてその地域防災っていう考え方ですねっていうのはありませんでした。でこれは別にシワタネホが特別なんて言うんでしょう、遅れてるとかそういうわけではなくて、おそらくメキシコ一般的にあまり地域の中で地域の方々がボランティアとして、防災活動を組織して、進めていくようなスタイルですね。そういったことはあまり一般的ではなかったように思います。いかに地域の方たちも防災に対して備えていたり、あるいは緊急時に対応できる体制を作っておくのかっていうのはやはり大事だというふうに考えていました。なのでシワタネホでもそういう地域防災を進めていく、そういう必要性っていうのは当初から感じていました。
Rafael, a member of the Disaster Prevention Department who was actively involved in disaster prevention activities in the local community, participated in regional disaster prevention training in Chile at the recommendation from NAKANO. Kizuna Project is a training program for Latin America and the Caribbean for the purpose of risk reduction in the event of a disaster. Rafael participated in the training in Chile from January to May 2017. This is a picture taken during the training in Chile. Rafael learned how to set up a community emergency response team in the local areas. After the training in Chile, he took immediate action. Here's the video of training at that time. It is training for people living in the area to act independently, assume various disaster situations, and protect the area by themselves. In interviews in 2017, Rafael talked about the importance of risk reduction from regional disasters.
Tenemos ahorita 2 colonias de un aproximado de 500 personas que ya se han capacitado. Tenemos alrededor de 45 brigadistas en esas 2 colonias y creo que esto también nos da fortaleza y nos da también el estar más tranquilo en que si algo llegue a ocurrir, tenemos gente que nos va a apoyar, personas voluntarias, personas brigadistas que lo han hecho muy a conciencia y creo que han estado muy ordenados en la situación de la prevención. Y esto nos da, vuelvo a repetir, la tranquilidad de saber que si algo llegase a ocurrir, ellos pueden reaccionar en su colonia principalmente. Porque creemos que ante una eventualidad, la autoridad municipal va a atender aquellos asuntos que sean colaterales o que sean un efecto dominó o donde creamos nosotros que la situación se puede sobresalir o puede rebasar una contingencia. Y ellos están para reaccionar en sus colonias principalmente.
About a year and a half ago, after forming the CERT, a big fire broke out in Zihuatanejo. It was a big fire that burnt down 100 houses in the mountains at Christmas time. Rafael and his colleagues rushed to the scene. When they got there, residents were practicing the drill that they learned from their local disaster prevention activities. The CERT rushed there early and provided evacuation guidance and initial fire extinguishing. Therefore, it did not cause any deaths. How did Rafael feel about the action of the CERT?
Día del siniestro, el día 23 de diciembre, con toda orgullo, te digo, Genta, que participaron en el incendio, fueron los primeros en llegar, fueron los primeros en atacar con cubetas con agua, con tierra, con lo que tenían a la mano, con picos, con palas. Eso me da a mí mucha satisfacción, un trabajo que creímos que no íbamos a poder controlar, se controló aproximadamente en 3 horas, un incendio que era voraz, era descomunal. El equipo de respuesta a emergencias comunitarias, el equipo CERT, desde que inició, desde la 1:45, estuvo presente con sus equipos, estuvo apoyando a los equipos de bomberos, estuvo apoyando a Protección Civil y en conjunto, en humanidad, en coadyuvancia, con todos los demás sectores públicos y privados, se logró atacar el incendio a las 5 de la tarde. Afortunadamente no hubo pérdidas humanas, el equipo CERT estuvo ahí, estuvo ayudándonos a sacar tanques de gas, estuvo ayudando también a desalojar la colonia y después de las 5 de la tarde todavía participaron ellos en los refugios temporales, estuvieron apoyando o apoyándonos, mejor dicho, casi 15 días en los refugios temporales, donde bueno, se les dio la tarea de apoyarnos con la limpieza, con darles de comer, en fin, con muchas actividades que ellos podían hacer. Creo yo que es buena la respuesta, es muy bueno el prepararnos, es bueno trabajar con estos equipos de emergencia, porque ya lo vimos, Genta, ya tenemos claramente la certeza de que sin estos equipos de respuesta, sin estos equipos de voluntarios, no haríamos básicamente nada. Es excelente que estén trabajando a la par con el municipio.
She is one of the CERT members who responded to the fire.
Y cuando llegamos allá al incendio, pues lo primero que veíamos gente muy desesperada. Tratamos de ayudar porque había pipas particulares que estaban donando agua. Y empezamos a hacer lo que muchas veces en nuestra colonia hacemos. Nosotros cuando trabajamos hacemos cadenitas. Entonces, uno de mi colonia se le ocurrió decirle a la gente que hiciéramos una cadena para poder llegar hasta el último. Entonces, como había mucha gente que nada más estaba viendo, eso funcionó mucho, ¿sí? Empezaron a pasarse las cubetas unos con otros y gritaban, allá va la cubeta de regreso y aquí va la cubeta para allá con agua. y fue de la manera en que llegamos hasta la parte de arriba para poder sofocar la lumbre.
Later, this triggered an event in which the results of the CERT led by Raphael were recognized. CERT was listed on the official disaster prevention plan for Zihuatanejo City. After that, there was a clear difference in CERT's cognition and behavior, and it has grown to be able to hold comprehensive disaster prevention drills with the Fire Department, Disaster Prevention Bureau, and the Red Cross Society.
ラファエルさんの尽力で、ラファエルさん自身が地域の人たちを集めて、そして、そこで、シワタネホの防災局とかあるいは消防の方と一緒に地域の人たちに対していろんなワークショップを開いて、シワタネホの各地で、その地域の防災グループというのを、どんどん設置していってくれました。
Creo que ver a las personas cómo cambia su manera de vida. Me encanta ver que podemos aportar algo, aunque sea muy poco, y ver la sonrisa de las personas cuando ellos se sienten que pueden lograr algo.
Raphael's disaster prevention activities will continue for the lives and smiles of the people in Zihuatanejo.
So this is the visual ethnography, which represents the changes from 2016 to 2019 in Zihuatanejo. But the most important thing is that this represents the researchers' my single voice reality. Because even though I put different interviews into this visual ethnography movies, how I put or how I edit basically represents my viewpoint. So this is my stories of my stories from 2016 to 2019, and in the process of editing or in the process of organizing this visual ethnography movies, I did not include the perspective of, for example, Raphael-san, or for example, the member of community emergency response teams. So again, let me emphasize that this is my reality only. So let me explain the next phase of my studies, which is to make this visual ethnography movies more multi-voiced reality, which is this stage. So the next step is viewing visual ethnography films with participants. It means that as I show you, I made this visual ethnography films so that these films are viewed by the participants or people involved, for example, Raphael-san. So as I mentioned, I made a visual ethnography which represents the researcher's reality, my reality. So in order to make this visual ethnography movies as multi-voice, so I made the comment videos, which reflects the comment of the local civil protection staff who is a participant of this visual ethnography, for example. So I set up the, very unfortunately, I could not travel to Mexico in order to make this comment video, so that I organized the session of viewing visual ethnography with the participants through the Zoom. So today, let me introduce 3 comment videos. The first one is comment videos, which is commented by Raphael-san, who is the main actor or main character of the visual ethnography, so that I show my visual ethnography, my perspectives to him, and he commented to his perspectives on this visual ethnographies. The second one, second comment video is made by the comment made by a consultant who has been involved in this activities of establishment of the CERT from 2017. And she lives in Mexico City. She does not live in Zihuatanejo, but she had a lot of experiences of working in community emergency response teams in another municipalities in Mexico. So that she was invited as a consultant to promote these sort of activities in Zihuatanejo from 2017. And the third one is a comment made by Mr. Thomas. And he is part of National Disaster Prevention Center of the Mexico federal government. And he was also supporting this sort of activities in Zihuatanejo from the federal government point of view. So that I also showed these visual ethnographies to him, and he commented on these videos. So now let me show you one of the, or maybe, yeah, because of time being, let me show you one of the videos, one of the comments made by, for example, Rafael-san. So let me show you the videos. Yes, so there is a comment here, but so I was interviewed through the Zoom. So after I showed my visual ethnography films, he commented on my visual ethnographies.
Es bastante, Genta. Inclusive, si tú te das cuenta en los medios de comunicación y bomberos, ya es protección civil y bomberos. O sea, ya no es una oficina solamente que cumplía porque tenía que estar ahí, porque lo decidía, porque era una obligación tener una oficina de prevención de riesgos en la ciudad. No, ya protección civil y bomberos desde 2000 es una dirección respetable, una dirección que a nivel municipal es muy conocida, y te lo voy a decir así, amigo Genta, no me gusta a nadie, pero yo de verdad estoy muy agradecido con ustedes, con la Universidad de Kyoto, con el profesor Yamori, contigo, Genta, con el profesor, muy agradecido, porque si tú te das cuenta, amigo, somos un municipio modelo para el Estado, para empezar. Es decir, el Estado es un municipio que está al 100% trabajando con la prevención de riesgos. Ya no es simplemente que está listo y simplemente ahí, ¿no? Ahorita ya cumplimos con un modelo de trabajo. Ya tenemos, por ejemplo, tenemos que hacer programas especiales sobre huracanes, y se entregan mediante un modelo que ustedes ya nos enseñaron. Se entregan también programas especiales por sismos y tsunamis. Bajo un modelo nos enseñaron. Lógicamente, yo entiendo que nuestras normas nos dicen cómo hacer un programa especial, pero cuando no estás tan empapado de la información, te es muy difícil poder entenderlo o poder plasmar toda esa información. Cuando ya tú lo tienes en práctica, porque ya alguien te está dando a seguir, pues es mucho más fácil hacerlo y es mucho más integral y más compactado todo. Entonces, viéndolo de un punto de vista, Genta, tenemos ya una, ¿cómo se dice? Tenemos ya un modelo que nos define, y el Estado, pues lógicamente, pues ya nos está viendo, y no se diga de la Federación. Digo, si hablamos del Senapred, Zihuatanejo también está dentro de los municipios que el Senapred considera también como un municipio modelo. Y aparte,
so this is his comment after viewing the visual ethnography made by my own perspectives. So let me later briefly explain what exactly meant his comment. But before going back to my presentation slides, let me show you another videos of the interviews, which is the comment videos, which is made by Mr. Thomas, who is a member of the National Disaster Prevention Center in the long context of Mexico history.
Okay, well, this is the first time although I have almost 30 years working in these issues in Senapred in different areas, this is the first time I know that in a continuous work with the specific objectives and well done in the same community or same locality, then for us it's a very good reference. And this could be a model to repeat in other similar localities of Mexico. It could be very difficult in some places, but we can adapt the methodology. And it will be very difficult in near future to get the same results for parents.
Is it for establishing the community-based volunteer group in Zihuatanejo or in Mexico?
Yes, it's suitable, but
okay.
We need leadership. Probably to look for who will be the leader of that effort is a big issue. If we have a clear leadership, probably this work goes well. If not, we can disperse efforts. And
So this is also his comment after viewing the visual ethnography made by my perspectives. So now let me going back to the presentation slides and let me tell you what exactly meant those comments made by participants of the action research. Okay, yeah, I hope you can see this presentation slide again. So actually these comments made by 3 action research participants represent multi-voice realities. So first of all, let me tell you in an organized way that first of all, the visual ethnography films made based on my perspectives, my realities. So in my visual ethnography films, the time frame was 2016 to 2019, and the special frame is third activity only in Zihuatanejo. And in my ethnographic movies, I focus only on the personal relationship of Mr. Rafael and third leaders. And I organize these films as the third response during the fire accelerated the horizontal development of third activities. So I as a part of action research, I thought that this fire accident and the third response for this fire actually was a very, very important to accelerate the horizontal development of third activities in Zihuatanejo municipality. So that's why I made that kind of stories in the visual ethnography movies. But that was my perspectives only. So after viewing this visual ethnography movies, the Rafael-san commented from the totally different from different time frames. Yeah, because he has been working in the civil protections, the part of the government, even before 2015 to 2021. And as you maybe noticed, he emphasized that now third activities and the civil protections of the Zihuatanejo is acknowledged by the state level or acknowledged by the federal government. So actually that was important motivations, important factor for him to promote the SART activities. So actually that was his reality. And if he make his own ethnographic films, maybe he would emphasize this aspect of the acknowledgement by the federal government. So this is his reality. So actually the motivations I thought and the motivations he had was different, but both of them actually represent the reality of this action research. On the other hand, there's a C's reality, which is Thomas San's federal government staffs. But he emphasized that leadership of Rafael San was most important for SART activity development in Shiwataneho. And he was saying that it is difficult to develop horizontally to the another municipalities, this methodology of the SART, because it is very rare to find people with high leadership in the civil protection in the municipal levels. So that is his way of looking this action research based on his time frame of 30 years of careers or a current community-based DRR in Mexico. So actually, it is the same action research, the same event from 2016 to 2019, how they understand this action research is quite different. So it means that this action research throughout the development of the visual ethnography films and making these comment videos, it is now representing the multi-voice reality of this action research. So visualizing multi-voice reality is also the important things. So that now I am developing the action visual ethnography website. So in the main part, there is research as a reality, the visual ethnography that I showed today. But at the same time, there's a comment videos listed so that we can find out the different way of looking at this action research, the multi research as realities. So after developing this action visual ethnography website, I really hope that this website function to support the further development of action research through the creation of new visual ethnographies and comment videos, like chained visual ethnography. So today, what I showed is only this part. The visual ethnography films are developed, and multi-voice reality is represented. So, for example, the same Rafael-san watch these different perspectives and my realities, and he or we can think a future plan of new action research, and we can continue to film that new action research, and it becomes a new visual ethnographies, and we can develop a new comment videos, then it becoming a chain of the practice. So after that, we can think how action researches and multi-voice realities bring the changes in Shiwataneho municipality, for example, in near futures. But actually, this type of change is little by little is happening because the, for example, Mr. Thomas from the federal government and Mr. Rafael from the municipal government already watched or involved in this visual ethnography activities. And now already both of them started the new type of action researches, for example, developing a new visual educational materials or new action researches in Shiwataneho, even during the COVID-19 situations, so that now the new action researches are ongoing in Mexico. Yeah, so that in the near future, we will be able to develop a new visual ethnography post, and it hopefully we will bring a new post of the comment videos, so it will be becoming a change of the practice in the near future. So thank you very much for joining my presentations. And this is all. And actually, this website of the Action Visual Ethnography is opened already. So we can access to this website if you are interested. So thank you very much.